Welcome to Intersect, a podcast where we find connection in each other's story. This morning, I am with a friend, a mentor, kick me in the tail kind of a person, because I am in Angela Obert's networking community. It's a long story of how I found my way there, a friend of a friend of a friend, and now Angela's my friend. So Angela, tell us, how in the world did you find yourself into networking? Who are you? Yeah, go.
Thanks for having me on. Yes, my name is Angela Obert. I am the owner of a franchise called Network in Action Minnesota, and up here in the Midwest. And during COVID, I had a job. I was business development. I traveled the country and I created relationships in order to have transactions to sell our product. And when, of course, all of us experienced COVID in 2020, that early part of the spring, I wasn't traveling anymore and I wasn't with people anymore. And so our company got us all on Zoom, which I thought was ridiculous. Now I'm enjoying the purpose of being online and being virtually like we are right now. There is definitely a need for it and a use for it. But after a couple months of not seeing my family and not seeing people in general, people were just staying in their houses and not being together. I realized pretty quickly that we all require being with other humans, and I required being with other humans. So I called up some friends, and every Saturday we got together, we had food together. Some people would wear a mask, some people wouldn't. It was all up to each person because they're an adult and they have their own choice. And we would talk about how they're feeling about COVID and all the changes and all the restrictions and what they were telling themselves and what tunnels, what roads are they going down in their brain that's changed for them because everything was different. The way we shopped was different. Being together with your family, even walking my dog. I'd go to the dog park and people wouldn't even talk to me. And I love people and I'll pretty much talk to anyone. Right. Mainly because I'm curious, and I was that way from a little girl. So started this community. It grew and grew and grew. I got a MailChimp account so I could have a little newsletter to send out to everybody.
Nice.
In a matter of a year and a half, partnered with some of my very, very close girlfriends who are also coaches. We had 140 some people come through my house in a year and a half. So it really developed this conscious, loving, supportive community. And then, stuff started kind of opening up, and, stores are opening. You can get out a little bit more. You could start traveling again. And I did start traveling for my job again. And I wasn't really interested in doing that anymore, even though they paid me a lot of money. It wasn't fulfilling to me to be out doing the transactional relationship. Okay.
And
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that I guess you had experienced a texture of connectivity that you had decided to stir up the stir crazy.
Yeah, that's a good way to love the tagline.
And in the process, that stirred up something in you.
It did. Yeah. And I owned a business back in the early 2000s and did some networking back then with some of the, the organizations that have been around for a really long time that really started networking. And I learned a lot about what helped me in networking in the business I was then. I also learned a lot about what I didn't want in networking. And so I didn't want to be the same as everybody else. So I did, out of those 140 some people, there were some business owners and professionals in those groups. And I just got a hold of some of them and said, hey, what do you think of us creating a group of people that own businesses and are professionals? And we have this conscious community that, like networking, but we do things that are more about human connection instead of talk about transactions. And I had, there was 12 people that were like, let's do this. And one of them offered a space at their building. And so we started doing that.
Nice.
And within a couple of months, in talking to a girlfriend who is down in Texas, another coach, and I was coaching her on, hey, you got to start getting out there and networking because things are
Mm-hmm.
opening up. And
Yeah.
she coached me and said, hey, I met this guy who owns a franchise that supports
Mm-hmm.
people that do networking. And so
Nice.
that's where I found the franchise I bought. And I just
Mm-hmm.
celebrated 3 years on a
Mm.
really funny day, April 1st.
Oh,
On April
wow.
Fool's Day was my
There you
anniversary
go.
of purchasing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
so
So you weren't fooling on April Fools. You were serious.
I was I wasn't fooling around. I signed the dotted line.
Here we go.
Yeah, by June 1st, my husband and I talked about I still had my job, I was still traveling, and
Hmm.
it was unrealistic for me to think that I could still do my job and then still do the networking stuff. I
Hmm.
really had to just I had to be, 200% in
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
really to accomplish the goals that I wanted to accomplish with all these new people that were coming into my
Yeah.
life. So June
Yeah.
1st, I gave my notice. Surprisingly, they kept me around for another 30 days, probably because of
Okay.
those great relationships I gave
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Um, I missed the people I worked with,
Yeah.
but I missed the travel a little bit too because I
Yeah.
got to talk to new people all the time. And but yeah, so July 1st of 2022, I launched my first group, and now I have 4 groups in the
Uh-huh.
North Metro, and
So you
um,
shifted your transactions to a network in action.
yeah, exactly. Yes,
Mm. Mm.
exactly.
Mm. There you
Yeah,
go.
and I feel I am in my innate skill set.
Mm.
I'm here in
Mm.
facilitating community. I'm not a
Mm.
business coach,
Mm-hmm.
but I have people in my groups that they're there to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's really I'm there holding space and keeping the ball rolling, like you said, the little
Mm-hmm.
kick in the butt, holding integrity to the groups.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at vetting people, not that everybody's welcome. There's just a specific business owner and decision maker that I like in the groups
Right, for sure.
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a shared value and ethos and ethic of.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
when you're a business owner, I had an agenda this week with one of my meetings that said, "What do you want people to know that they don't know about you?"
Mm.
And one of the business owners that stepped up, his name's Chris, and he owns a bath remodeling company. He said,
Mm.
"I would like people to know that just because you say you own a business doesn't mean you got it all. Like that it's
Mm.
easy.
Sure.
That you're
Yeah.
yeah that you have sleepless nights because you're worried about paying you have employees and you're
Hmm.
responsible.
Hmm.
You're the livelihood of your family,
Mm.
and I think that is a misconception of when you say you're a business owner, like, oh, you're super successful. It's like, well, yes, but that also says that you're a very motivated person and that you're taking a risk. You're taking
Yeah.
a real big risk with your family and your life. So I feel that it helps raise us a little bit more to be more responsible and more accountable with ourselves, and then putting ourselves with other people that are
Uh-huh.
in that same place where they're all taking a risk, so we can take that risk together and we can support each other.
Mm. It doesn't feel so
Yeah.
risky when we have the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you said about him going like, I want people to realize like the sleepless nights because of feeling responsible to support those that are in my business, whether they're
Yeah.
clients or people that I'm supporting because they work in the business. It reminds me, I heard this podcast, Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO guy, is talking to this other guy. And the guy's saying to Bartlett, he's like, Drake, he says, Drake must have it pretty rough because wherever he goes, he's this hip hop artist from Canada. Wherever he goes, people are chasing him down, and he just can't travel freely or whatever. Whereas, and he
Yeah.
references some other business dude that like had started these gyms, and he's like, that dude, he's like, he's his net worth is greater than Drake's, but he's not so well known, so he can just kind of come and go as he pleases. And Bartlett's like, well, it's all about what the pinch point is, because he's like, for that, he's like, if you're a business owner and you're like laying at bed, like he says, this guy that owns the gym, he sleeps sometimes in his kitchen on the floor because it's the coolest place in the house, because he feels just this heat of pressure. Like, it's like if
Mm.
you're a business owner, you don't realize, how am I going to make payroll this month, and I have to like, you know, go to, you know, he says Bartlett was like, there were times in my business where I was like, you know, I got 200 people depending on me, and I've got to try and call the bank in the morning to convince them to release the funds so I can make payroll. And the fact that, you know, the people we're in business with are going to make good on their promises to our business. That's a whole kind of different pressure we don't think about. And so to have a network, not only to generate business, but to support those that are in business, I guess that's pretty profound, isn't it?
It is. And in the same day, I have multiple groups. I have 4 groups. So I had a different agenda for each group this week, which was a little different for me. And I had a lot of new people visit. I'm just having more and more people show up, and it just tells me about how the more I'm consistent with my message and being available and being seen and sharing myself with others, now I'm starting to receive more and more people. And there's a newer business owner that came. He owns a delivery. He's a moving company. Dreezy's Moving. Great guy. Young, excited, just all this energy. And we had one of our members who does marketing, website, social media, all that stuff. He did a presentation. And then I saw within his presentation, he has this checklist, like, hey, check your brand. And so I put everybody in groups. I made copies of that one slide. And we all sat in a group, and we all acted like a consumer to one person in the group to look at all their social media and look at the messaging on their website and look at them and give them really, really healthy criticism and feedback. And wow, the people that were visiting said this was the greatest. I mean, I've never had anybody look through that besides the person that built it, and some clients look at it, and that we were able to find little pieces of it that stuck out to us as a consumer, that like there was a font that I couldn't read, and I'm like, I don't know if my eyes are that old, you know. And there was an area where there was a link into his website where he was supporting a friend who does the containers that you can rent instead of having boxes when you move. And when you'd hit that link, it would go off of his website. And so the marketing guy who was right next to him said, hey, I encourage you to have this area of affiliated people that you want to support, but don't ever have it go off of your website, because then they're gone. That person's gone. So it was little things, but it meant so much to him that this person who I just met that day, that I didn't even have a lot of time with, called me and said, that was one of the best experiences that I've ever had. And it wasn't because of me. It was because of the members. Yeah, they just wanted to help each other.
You're kind of an ambassador to all these businesses that flow through your network. You get to, so rather than working for one business, you get to work for however many businesses your network represents.
However many. Yes. Yeah. And I do. That's, I have a realtor that we had a spot open in one of my groups. And I said to her, who do you want to work with? Who's the mortgage person that is like the person that would be the best person you'd want to work with? And she has people she already has, but she said, I want this specific company. And I've always wanted to work with them. And I said, why? Because I really want to know the why. So when I talk to these people, I can say, hey, this is what this realtor said. Yeah. And I went online and I contacted on LinkedIn 5 people from that specific company. And within 5 minutes, I got someone responded to me and said, I am super interested. That was 2 days before we had our meeting. They came to the meeting and they signed up this morning. And so this all happened in like 3 days. So, that's specifics. Wow.
So you went to bat for this girl in your network and reached out to who she wanted to reach out to. And now they're saying, we want to be a part of this experience.
Yes. Yeah. And so that is all of my members, they are my clients. And that is my job. And I'm awesome at business development, and I can usually get through the gatekeeper. It's just my skill set. I'm from this huge family. I'm the oldest girl. I'm outgoing. I'm not afraid to talk to people. So I'm perfect for it.
So in Angela's,
I just need to know who that is.
In Angela's vocabulary, know means get to know them more. And then you'll know how to get through the no.
Right. Especially if you're from the South. Yeah. Yes. That is cold calls and the things that people are usually afraid of or don't like. I enjoy those. So
Wow.
it excites me when I have a member who is a client that says, I really want to get into this company, or this is a specific person that I've been trying to work with, or I want, and they just haven't been able to get through to them. And I will do everything I can to either find someone that already knows them and get an introduction, or I will just go find them myself. I'll find out what
Mm,
networking event they're going to, and I'll creep on them until they talk to me.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. So what would you say to somebody that's like not specifically trying to quote unquote grow a business, drive a business? They're just going to work every day. Like what could the principles of networking mean for them?
Oh, someone who doesn't own a business and is in a job that doesn't require them to gain business. So an
I
example would
mean,
be,
I don't know, somebody working in a cubicle somewhere.
yeah,
You know, I
like
don't know,
someone who
just
works like at the county or a hospital or something like
yeah,
that.
or like a teacher,
Um,
or
yeah.
like maybe network's not at the front of the brain, but what would you say, like as you think about what you do, would actually be a benefit? I mean, probably in one sense, we all network at some level, but yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think the important piece of this is community. So
Mm-hmm.
you have community, you have
Mm-hmm.
churches, you have
Mm-hmm.
organizations. If you like to cycle, or if you like to hunt, or if you like to golf or swim,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you
Mm-hmm.
read books. So
Yeah.
there's always ways to get together with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Humans require other humans. It's just how we're
Mm.
made. We're
Mm.
not supposed to be alone. We're
Right.
not supposed to be alone.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to be married. Doesn't mean you have to be all that. You don't have to be a
Right.
couple. You
Right.
have to really, we require other people around us. Otherwise, we just stay stagnant. There's no
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
There's no one around us to challenge our thoughts or our beliefs,
Mm.
or even share their values, so it can help open up your heart and your mind and introduce you to new things.
Mm.
And
Mm.
when we're stagnant, we're not growing. We're not
Now,
we're
was
not
is this
available.
and has this been something that's always been a part of your thinking, or because it feels like you hit COVID and it was like a catalytic moment in your life of maybe some things that had been building?
Yes, it definitely was. Working in a job
Mm-hmm.
compared to the freedom that I have with the spontaneity piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
My husband says, he says this to me often. He goes, "You don't seem to do anything unless it's fun." I'm like, you're right, I don't. And I've done jobs that are not fun. And I've done, things in my life that are not fun. Of course, there's things in our life that are not fun.
Yeah.
And so it's not always like that. Of course, I have office work and I have things I have to do. I have to meet with my bookkeeper and my CPA. That's not fun. I
Yeah.
love them.
Yeah.
It's fun to be
Yeah.
around them. I don't love the
Yeah.
topic, but it's necessary. So be with other people. And
Yeah.
and even when I had a job, I would still gather everyone together and we go to dinner, or it was
Mm.
my job to be hospitable, or
Mm.
create groups of people together and do training or whatever
Mm.
that looked like.
Mm.
I thrive in groups of people,
Mm.
and
And
it's
maybe
just,
for go ahead. Go ahead. I was just gonna say maybe for somebody that's not an Angela,
uh-huh.
that's not like I mean, my youngest son Sam, my wife told me, she's like, he just told me this morning, Jim, he wants to rent a limousine for the junior senior banquet. She's like, he's so, and she called my niece Allison, who has a big wig job at Advent Health in Florida, and she's like, Allison, Sam is just like you, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, and Sam is just like Angela, blah 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 blah. And then I'm like, but then there's those of us that, we're not like, let's throw a party, call 10, 20 people. But what if it's just about receiving the opportunity that somebody like Angela or Sam
Uh-huh.
is offering?
Yeah,
So maybe for,
be a participant.
yeah,
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 participate. Just and it can be a book club. It can be a book
yeah.
club on Zoom. It can be, I mean, nowadays we have access to so much. I could be in
Hmm.
a book club with people in another country.
Yeah,
We have access to be involved in whatever way is comfortable for us. It's
yeah,
also important that we can step a little bit, even if it's just a little bit, out of our comfort zone and just listen to the people around us and the activities that they're doing, and
yeah.
try something. I was with
Yeah.
my 4.5-year-old granddaughter this morning, and she told me, she goes, Grandma, I like mustard. I went, really? You like mustard? Because as far as I know, she didn't. She goes, it's really good to try new things. And I tried a new thing. And so I'm trying
Uh,
other new things. A
uh,
4.5-year-old said this, and now
uh,
I like mustard. It's
yeah.
really that simple. You just try it. If you
Mm,
don't like it, I can list 100
mm,
things for people to do, like right now, 100 different
mm,
things that you can get involved in that don't involve you being an extrovert, don't
mm,
involve you facilitating a meeting or
mm,
facilitating even an event. You don't even have to create an event. You just
mm,
show up, go to a
mm,
5K. I mean, get involved with your kids' school. Yeah, I'm on
mm,
the city charter in my community,
mm,
so we meet
mm.
once a quarter, and I see those people are friends, and I only see them once a
Yeah.
quarter, but they're friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Have the
just,
courage. Have the courage to show up.
yeah, just show
Yeah.
up and try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to go back.
Yeah.
There's other
Yeah.
things, there's neighbor things you can do. I walk with my neighbor. My neighbor, it's the only
Yeah.
time we wave at each other. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We wave.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, we're like, hey, you want to go for a walk? And we go for a walk and we get caught up. And
Mm.
otherwise, we don't go out for dinner or go on vacations or anything.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
whatever you want it to be.
Wow. You know,
Yeah.
what's so interesting to me, I think it was with this gal that I interviewed. I met her because we were on a walk. It's like quarter mile from our house in the neighborhood just across Alpine. And she comes out of her house and she has a little dog. And I hear calling her dog. She goes, history, history.
The dog's name is history.
The dog's name is history. She had a whole story behind it. Well, then,
Oh,
I end up like talking to her about like doing one of these podcasts. I'm blanking her name right now. But anyways, if you go to Intersect, you'll find it. She's African American. And she has, even one of the podcast episodes has a picture of her holding history, I believe.
oh,
But anyways, she was working at a bank and there were all these people coming in. I believe they were Hmong. And so she, she just said, I'm going to learn enough of that language to kind of help these people. And that little bit of curiosity opened up career opportunities for her. So, and I noticed that you said about, I'm just curious.
hmm very. I've been my mom will tell you stories when I was younger. I'd get lost in the mall or other places because I would walk around and talk to people. I'm little. My
Hmm.
mom would be like frantic because she has two other kids and looking for her daughter. And I'm just out talking to people, making friends with adults, with security
Don't talk to
guards, with,
strangers. What's that? What's
yeah,
that?
I did not have stranger danger.
Wow.
I did
Wow.
not have stranger
Wow.
danger. And I still don't.
Mm,
I love talking to people. And
mm,
um, there was a group, so I put people in groups in my meetings, and there was one group that I'll watch the room and
mm-hmm,
see, who's interacting, who's aligning, and so
mm-hmm,
I'll go sit with groups that require a little bit of an energy
mm-hmm.
boost. And there was one
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah.
and even one of the participants said, "God, I had a really quiet table." I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I walked over and sat with you guys so I could get it moving." And it
Rolling.
was a bunch of introverts, and
Mm,
it didn't mean they didn't have things to say to each other or talk. They required a little bit of assistance. They needed some assistance and just getting the ball
So
rolling.
what are some tips or tricks that you use? Like if you have a group that's like a little bit, how do you help them kind of, ramp it up a
Well,
little bit?
I have an agenda that has questions on there, and it's
Hmm.
questions to develop more human interaction.
Okay.
And their conversation can go, the extrovert table, that's, the two other ones that are there.
Hmm. Yeah.
They're going off on totally other topics by now because they've already done those questions, and that's okay as long as I
Yeah.
see interaction and
Yeah.
laughing and
Yeah.
just if I see them moving around and doing stuff, then I just stay out of the way. They're
Yeah.
there for each other.
Yeah.
So I usually just sit down and then I'll listen to who's talking and where they're at
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and ask a question that leads into a
Uh,
conversation. It could
uh,
say, I could say, hey, where you guys at on the worksheet?
yeah.
Or, hey, Brady, what was your answer to this question?
Yeah.
And just become part of their group. Just
Right.
integrate myself in there a little bit until they get rolling a bit, and then I'll just kind of
Slip out.
meander out a little bit, and
Yeah.
then they keep going. So that's the part of facilitating and really feeling out the room, and the flow is different for everybody,
Hmm.
and we all can be with anyone.
Hmm.
We may have past experiences that we're afraid to say something, or who knows, we all have a story.
Hmm.
I can start my meetings now, it wasn't how I used to be, and say something vulnerable about myself, which helps raise others to feel like, oh, I can, wow, I just heard that about her. I can say
Hmm.
this. I can share
Yeah.
about myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for people to see us, and any leader, facilitator, manager, for us to be an example for others of
Yeah.
vulnerability and openness and authenticity. Just however we understand ourselves, because I feel like I get to know more about myself every day. But I feel that is the most important piece of what I do.
I love it.
I have to walk that path.
Vulnerability is the currency of connection.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you
Yeah.
said that tagline to me. I wrote that down. It's beautiful. I'm putting it on my
Yeah.
website. I'm
Yeah.
stealing that, Jim.
Steal it. Steal it. Um,
That is what
yeah.
this podcast is going to be called.
Yeah. Perfect.
Title it.
The currency of connection. There you go. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it.
Um, and I think too, like, story awakens story. You're,
Mhm.
as I was listening to you, I'm thinking, well, really, like, what those monthly networking meetings are like. And I don't know if we should tell them. It's like giving away the secrets, but I, I,
What are they to you?
I think when I'm listening to you, it's really like a relationship laboratory. And so what you're doing when people come in is you're giving them a safe space in which to practice um, their emotional IQ, to practice just what it's like to organically interact. I mean, yes, you have it's like some question prompts, but
Yes.
over time, as they get to know each other, it feels less like when I first came, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do commercial. Well, you don't really do commercials, but it's
I
kind
don't
of a
do. I don't allow
um,
them.
yeah, but it's like
Quick intro.
a quick intro. Yeah, 20
A quick
seconds.
intro. Give
Yeah.
me 20
And I'm
seconds.
like, I'm Jim Moon. The first couple of times I'm like, oh, because, coming from being a pastor for years, it's like, I can talk to a big group, I can talk one on one, but put me in a group of about, you know, 12 to 25, and I'm freaking out, I
Yeah,
don't know why.
it's so much more. Well, it's more intimate. And
Yeah,
also, you had some experience in being in some business networking uh,
yeah,
venues
yeah,
where it's just done differently, and those
yeah,
those are great. I mean, I have
yeah.
nothing bad to say about any of those. I just knew that for my own fulfillment and
Mm-hmm.
human connection,
Yeah.
that I just desired something completely different. So I'm not for everybody. I mean, I am for
Mm,
everybody, but I'm not for
mm.
everybody. Timing might be a
You know,
timing thing.
I was talking to this guy, and he leads a mega church out in Loma Linda, California, and he's been there for years. And he swore he was never going to be a pastor. He was just like, that's not like his background's as a marriage and family. And so, and he's walking by this church because it's on a university campus. He's walking by it, and he's like, he says to God, he was like, I would never want to pastor that place. And now he's pastoring it. But there was another piece in his journey. He's like, God said to him through a mentor, I think that's how it worked. But he's like, Randy, you focus on the depth of your ministry and let me worry about the
Oh,
breadth of your ministry. And I
I
feel
love
like,
that.
what you're doing with Network in Action is it's really saying to business people, focus on the depth of relationships within this network and let me worry about the breadth of your business.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because when you say the word worry, all humans worry. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care who you are, or if you're a
Yeah.
parent or not, that we spend so much time worrying about what we don't have, or worrying about getting somewhere, getting something done, or just the worry that
Mm-hmm.
takes up so much space in our bodies
Mm-hmm.
that we
Mm-hmm.
forget that everything we require, we already have, and it's right in front of us.
Yeah.
And it's other people, it's the resources, it's our own
Yeah.
wisdom. We already have it. We kind of smash it down with worry.
Yeah.
And that's a big awareness to have, that it
Uh-huh.
took me a long time to.
Yeah.
I grew up in a
Yeah.
family of worry, so I carried the
Yeah.
torch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're around when you're around a bunch of worry warts, you
Worry
realize
warts.
worry don't work.
Worry don't work.
So
It don't.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, Angela, what do you want to leave our listeners with today? What challenge do you want to give them as you and I go about our day and they go about their day? What's the takeaway today?
Yeah. Well, if you are a business owner, whether you're in Minnesota or any other state, or you could be a business owner, you might be a decision maker in a business, you might, like Jim brought up, you may just have a career and a job and you don't have any of those titles. Go out and find something to belong to. Find other people to be with. It will change your life. Get out of the house. Go for a walk. Just say hi to someone. I mean, if that's a challenge, just say hi to someone. And
nice.
otherwise, just get out there and be with people, and your life will change.
And can you say one more time, like, get out of the house with your best Minnesotan, you betcha?
Get out of the house.
Get out. Okay.
Get out of the house. I don't know, was that different? I don't hear my accent.
Well, and it's not the strongest
effort. Get yourselves
effort.
out of the house.
Get out of there. Okay,
Get
well,
out of the
with
house.
that, we just want to thank you. We've been with Angela did I say Obert? Ortberg. That's John Ortberg. He's a totally different guy. We've been with Angela Obert today, my sister and friend. And we just want to thank you for joining us on Intersect, this podcast where we find connection. That's what Angela's all about. It got supercharged in COVID. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So
blessings.
Yeah. May you go. May you have joy. May you meet a bunch of folk as you get out of the house. Go for it. You can do it.
You got this.
You got it.